What are we looking at smart money? Are you seeing anything interesting as we get started today?
Yeah, so I still like the indices.
Okay.
Nasdaq looks good. S&Ps, I guess mixed this time around, but they kind of go together. Um, all the indices. That and I still have an interest in gold. I think I heard you say you want to wait for it to pull back some to like the 1930s. I
Hmm.
can see that happening too. Pound, I like pound yen because the short bias on yen we've had for a while now, and then COT's backing that up still, and pound is getting increasingly long. So yeah, I like pound yen, euro yen, just anything short yen basically. But yeah,
Okay.
same
Fair
sort of
enough. Yeah.
sentiment.
And
Here's
Frank,
uh,
I've just pulled up the indices here for you because you made mention to them on the COT report. So walk us through just a little bit of what you're talking about there. I've got again, I just isolated. You've got SPX, US 30, NAS, silver, and gold on the screen. And for the newer people in the audience, what this is referencing, this is the COT report data. This is showing what hedge funds and asset managers in the US are holding as of the most recent filing. So you mentioned some stuff on the indices there, Frank. What do you think about this divergence between NAS and Dow? I thought this was kind of interesting.
um yeah, I don't really know. I'm not really sure what the reason is for that, other than maybe I guess tech stocks are more in demand than the blue chips and things that are, I guess, are more stable. So that could mean something like the speculation in the markets is growing.
Hey Frank, did you get that EDGEFINDER work done I asked you about?
Yeah, I did, but why did you have me do this? I don't get it. I mean, why did we take away half of it?
Oh yeah, this looks just so much better. You can really read right here especially. You get everything you want just in one spot. It looks the greatest it's ever looked.
Come on, Frank, you get it. It makes so much more sense now.
Keep it like that forever, really.
Right now, for a limited time, get the Edge Finder half off. Yes, 50% off the Edge Finder. Slash that price in half and get your hands on the tool today by messaging us down below using the link in the description or in the chat right now.
Keep it like that forever, really.
So I don't know. S&P and Nas usually kind of do the same thing. The Dow's just its own sort of machine. So I don't really look at the Dow as much as the S&P because it's so diversified. But the
Yep.
fact that Nas is seeing a lot more demand means that sentiment's probably way more speculative now than it was in previous weeks. So
Yeah, it is an interesting divergence, I will say, because the Dow oftentimes represents for many traders like it's like the value ETF, right? It's like what you buy when you're like, I don't know, 60 years old and you want to put something away that's really safe. That is usually a very popular index for people who have more money and they're kind of waiting around. They're trying to keep it in something value heavy rather than more speculative. Which when we talk Nasdaq, for people in the audience who do not know, the Nasdaq is comprised of a lot of tech. It's very heavy weighted tech. Of course, what we're talking about with these indices for very new traders, NAS 100, US 30, SPX 500. Those numbers represents the number of companies that are in the underlying asset group. So NAS 100 refers to 100 companies of varying size, but a lot of it is tech. US 30 is the top 30 very stable companies in the United States. You're talking about things like Coca-Cola, Walmart, that sort of thing. And then, of course, the S&P 500 is a very mixed. It's the top 500 companies in the United States. So Frank and we typically, I personally trade a lot of NAS and SPX 500. I don't trade a lot of Dow. I think Frank, you're the same, right? You don't trade Dow very often. I mean, you got to be careful with these things, right? Dow is
used to trade Dow.
yeah.
You can trade Dow.
Yeah. And one reference, guys, also, please note that Forex brokers, if you're trading indices, a lot of people do not like trading indices when they're trading on Forex brokers for a very, very good reason. One that Frank and I are very well acquainted with is the fact that Forex brokers, they have huge contract sizes on these things. When you're able to trade these things on the futures market or ETF variations, which is what Frank and I do on a US stock exchange, you're able to not use nearly as much leverage, and they're actually tradable without having to have a ginormous account. So that is something to think about. But Frank, pivoting here, latest on gold. Do you have any thoughts on gold?
Kind of. I got stopped out over the weekend on Sunday. But yeah, like you said, a pullback to like 1936 or below, somewhere where we hit this demand zone on the previous top. Yeah, I think that would be a good setup. But yeah, gold likely moves in, I would say, waves.
Mhm.
So there's a couple days where it just takes off and then it consolidates, it comes down. So we might see like some kind of flag pattern here. The fact that demand has been rising so much in the past couple of weeks, especially on the, from the Fed and just from inflation numbers cooling, just like good news across the board for gold and indices. So I see a lot of demand picking up. I don't really think because of this lower low we saw on the daily chart back in June that it necessarily means we're going to, continue in this downtrend that we've been in since May. I think we found our support level, and I'm pretty confident that gold's going to keep making its way higher, but there's going to be a lot of pullbacks along the way because it doesn't really move like indices. It just it has its runs and then it comes down, consolidates, and then that gives us time to trade it, which is kind of convenient, I guess, for gold traders.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it does give more opportunities, at least, especially recently, right? Indices have just been moving like in one direction. It's been very hard to catch pullbacks on indices compared to gold, which has seemingly had a lot of pullbacks going on.
Don't forget to check out the links in the description if you want our broker recommendation, access to our free Discord, free EDGEFINDER, or want to chat with us on Telegram. Remember, you can watch us live in the markets every morning starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and we have lots more free trading tools and content available on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching.